welcome back to Cinema Network. After a 3-month hiatus, we are back. I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Honto.
And we are diving into our favorite time of the year, October Scarefest. We all have our specific picks that we're doing.
Yes, we
have
do.
Group picks. We have some now playings coming up. It's our favorite time of the year. And we are starting off with Honto's pick. Honto, just tell us what you picked and why.
The Blob from 1988, because we recorded it back in year one of the podcast and it was never released.
Was it really year one?
Yeah.
Is that early?
Yeah.
That feels like
Did
it was
we
just...
complete it?
It was grouped in that like Explorers era of podcast episodes.
Okay.
And something I think
we were still green.
I think it was like we were green. We were like environmentally safe, and now the world's ending because we decided to go back on our word.
I think it was like year 4 or 5 when we tried to do a spinoff, which was Dark House on the Hill. I think it was a Dark House on the Hill episode.
Was it?
I'm going to flat out say that is negative.
Yeah, I think we talked about releasing it for a Dark House on the Hill episode, and we never. It was. Okay. It had sat in it. Why did it sit on the shelves? What's this?
I think it was a lackluster. It was like a 20-minute episode.
Really?
Yeah, it was very short.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I remember we got done with the movie and we're like, I have nothing
because
else
there
to
was
say.
literally no format to the episode.
Yeah.
Really? It's just us. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like beginning, and we didn't even go through cast or crew or any of that stuff.
Oh, which is like the best part of the podcast, in my opinion.
I know.
I
Well, it's
love
like-
the cast and crew.
And we did complete it, right? It's not like an Ernest Scared Stupid situation where we
I
never
think we did
finished
complete it, but like I said, it's like 20 minutes and didn't really feel like an episode.
That's what this whole month should be: is movies that we didn't release. We'll do Blob, Identity, and Ernest Scared Stupid. That'll be our 3.
I'm not watching Identity again.
It's so good.
It's all right.
It's so okay. It's so fine.
The first time is good because it's got like a little bit of a twist.
It is. Yeah, the first time was actually pretty decent.
But like when you go back and watch it, it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
I've watched about 4 or 5 times this
Really?
weekend, and it's good.
It's about halfway through the movie you realize you're like, oh, I actually don't care about any of these characters.
Yeah.
But you do in Friday the 13th Part 5?
It's different.
Why?
Because those are characters.
Those are because
Those characters are welcome.
if you haven't seen Identity, spoiler alert, those characters are real in Friday the 13th Part 5.
What?
That was a
And the
weird, that was a weird, like, you're going to answer
It's a spoiler.
Identity's biggest
It is. That's
biggest plot point, and then you were talking about Friday the 13th.
Dude, that's the biggest like spoiler in Identity.
Oh, I see. I think we're talking about Friday the 13th 5.
Is that
Well, don't ruin it. 'Cause people
spoiler
haven't
alert?
seen it.
Spoiler, alert, they're not real.
I mean, if somebody has any sense of IQ, or they can figure out what you're.
I don't think so.
You guys all figured out the movie
Yeah, I didn't
before?
figure that shit out.
No, I'm just saying you're deciphered. Your riddle just now.
Yeah. We talked about that on that episode, though, about how halfway through you
should
you
listen
don't
to
care.
it. Listeners, check it out.
If you can hack my Google account, you can access it.
Ernest was just a weird one. I don't know what happened with Ernest.
We
because
stopped midway through because Chris didn't want to continue.
I remember it was like a burner episode.
And also, I remember I was like extremely sick.
You're
I was
right.
just like
Okay.
struggling, like, and then the trash compactor.
I remember like
Miak, chocolate
I knew
Miak.
halfway through the episode, I was like, "Yeah," and the book says chocolate Miak, and you guys both stared at me like I was an idiot.
That's actually
And I was
accurate.
like, "We're done." I was like,
This is 100% factual. We were looking at it when he said Miak, and it's like, what are we even doing here? What are we doing with our lives?
We're all having this internal crisis, like right then and there. Like,
Wait,
I'm thinking about how sick I am and how I don't want to do the episode. Matt's thinking about
I owe college so much money.
identity, the whole plot and identity, and then Chris is like, Miak. Why?
chocolate Miak.
That's a legit movie, though, by the way. Matt and I watched it a couple years ago.
I haven't seen it since the podcast.
And it was super fun.
So.
Yeah, that's a legit movie.
I might check it out again.
It's like a slasher movie for kids. It's great.
I will agree with that. That movie did have some very scary parts when I was younger. So the Blob 1988, though, we picked it because, well, Honto picked it because it's just one of those ones sitting there that needs to be done and talked about.
It's like a weight off my conscience now.
Yeah.
It's like,
And I'll spoil this right now. We all three really
Dude,
like
you're
this.
full of spoilers,
No,
man.
we all three really like this
Don't
movie.
speak for me.
I'm speaking for Chris.
Don't speak for me.
Because
Wow.
Chris's opinion will be, I'll watch it again.
It was different this time.
How many times have
It
you
was
watched this
different this
movie in
time.
your lifetime?
Maybe 2. This was the second
You're
time.
full of shit. I've watched this movie like more than 10 times.
This
and
is-
So that means I had to?
No, yeah, because it was your copy, so I know you were in the room with me when we were watching it. You've watched this movie more than twice.
Maybe 3 times.
More than 3 times.
Tell me how many times I've seen it.
I bet you've watched this movie more than me.
Okay.
I can get is 10, 11 times.
Okay.
How many times
did.
have you seen this movie?
I've seen this probably like 4 times.
No,
Okay.
no.
I didn't even know you guys when I was a kid.
But I'm just saying that, like, otherwise we wouldn't be so, like, passionate about covering it if we didn't like this movie.
But if we liked it so much, we would release the episode.
I feel like my vote to do this movie would have gotten vetoed real fast if we didn't like this movie.
Yeah. Considering, Chris, did you buy this movie again?
He bought it.
No.
On Blu-ray?
No.
Oh, then why'd you bring that up before the podcast?
Just tell me what I bought and how many times I watched.
Did you buy it?
I don't know. We'll figure it out at the end when I grade
What do you mean
it.
you gotta figure it out at the end? Like,
It's
a simple. Did you?
No, I did not buy this movie.
Okay. So
I
bought.
had the DVD copy from like 1999.
Yeah, and it's all worn out, man. You can't watch it anymore.
all the best parts are worn out.
Yeah, all the best parts.
That's so stupid.
No, this movie actually, my history with this movie is I caught it on TV late night, probably like a USA, like up all night, and it scared the ever living shit out of me.
Oh, as
Really?
a child, this really got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some, like,
It was
obviously-
specifically the Paul part. That's the part I watched. I was like,
yeah.
I'm a kid. I shouldn't be watching this right now.
Really?
And that same tone of voice too.
Yeah, and you grew a beard.
Yeah.
As like it was happening.
It
You're
was like
I'm older now.
It's like Donovan from Last Crusade, where it's like, oh,
all your hair crawled from the top of your head to your beard.
yeah. It's like isn't in Evil Dead 2 when Ash sees the entity or whatever? It's
Yeah.
like his hair goes all.
Oh,
gray.
yeah, yeah.
That's exactly.
I was
what
thinking
happened.
like you turn into a man, so your voice gets all deep. You're like, I shouldn't be watching this right now.
Or you're like, ow! I was thinking,
And then like these two kids come up and you're like, my children.
Are you thinking Day of the Dead?
I was thinking 21 Jump Street when his eyebrows turn, they
Oh,
crawl
yeah.
across his face into a mustache,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
That does
yeah.
happen. Yep.
Yeah, so take us to the cast and crew of The Blob, 1988.
Directed by Chuck Russell. Previous episodes: Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and The Mask.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Starring Shawnee Smith as Meg, probably best known for the Saw
Becker.
franchise. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's on Becker.
Did you watch Becker, Matt?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Saw franchise and Who's Harry Crumb?
And returning guest, Summer School.
Oh yeah.
That's what I knew there was. I knew there was something missing from my cast. and crew.
She's
I just knew.
what is it with her in the Saw movies? Like, isn't she a pretty? Because I don't watch them.
She's
she's
like
a
a-
pretty pretty big
yeah.
main character.
Yeah, I
now,
mean, if you
right?
haven't seen it, she's
She's a victim
Yeah.
or like a victim that escapes in
the
the
first
first
one.
one.
a very memorable
Yeah.
scene. But
Yep.
yeah, she's definitely part of the franchise.
But like, she's like,
She's in it.
She's in it.
she's like on par with like Tobin Bell now, right? Where they're like the franchise leads.
I would say she's probably like up there with like Carrie Elways and
Oh yeah.
well, I mean, she's like that's like her thing, I think.
Yeah, I know because she's been
Like,
at
if she's touring with a convention, it's probably for Saw.
for Saw. Yeah.
And Chris and I saw her at a panel.
Oh yeah, we did. Man,
It was-
I totally
it was-
forgot about
it was
that. Yeah.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I
Yeah.
totally forgot.
I don't
about
like
that.
those movies at all, but that panel was pretty legit.
It's weird. It's like a series that I don't love. I think the first like 3 are really good. But it's a series I've watched through all the way twice, and some I can't say I don't like them if I watched them twice.
I watched all the way through during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was in a Saw trap. Like trying
Oh,
to get
so
through
did
those
it
That's
succeeded.
what you chose to watch during the pandemic.
I watched a lot of things during the pandemic.
That sounds so just like I feel like I'd be depressed after watching those and being like not talking to anybody outside, and you're just like, I guess I'll just watch all the Saw movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was on my Voodoo, so I was like, I got to do this.
We did
Yeah.
too. We watched all the Saw movies leading up to Spiral, and then went
Yeah,
to Saw.
I think that's actually kind of what I did too.
Yeah.
Is, build up to Spiral.
Yeah.
and
I do want to see Spiral, but I heard it wasn't very good.
everything,
it's fine.
Everything was there's like one good Saw kind of towards the end, the latter part of the series.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's mostly just like a downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen I think 3 of them.
You're probably better off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Dillon is Brian. Best known for Johnny Drama and Entourage. Yeah, exactly. He was doing that when he got his motorbike over the gap. in
Oh,
this
you mean
movie.
that scene from Road Trip?
Which one?
You know what I'm talking about?
Bob. Oh man, I had the joke. What does he say? Bob. Who's the guy who used to? He's like, Bob Hope could jump this in a golf cart.
Yeah.
Then he
yeah.
hawks the loogie across the bridge,
like,
and the bridge just
Dude,
collapses.
that's all I kept thinking about. Like, I was watching the beginning of this movie, I was like, is that this movie? And then every time I watch this movie, I think that's what happens in this movie, that he throws the can over on the end of the bridge, and then the bridge falls.
Oh, I got one for you. I was waiting for this scene to happen. That's ironic you said that. Not to jump into the movie, but in the very first scene, there's like a football scene.
Yep.
And the guy gets hit really hard or whatever, and he like passes out. I was thinking of the beginning of
Christine?
No, the beginning of Shocker.
Oh,
When he
yeah.
gets a concussion and he gets
it
up.
totally is.
And then he
yeah.
like walks into the table and he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was
Previous
waiting for that
episode.
scene to happen, and it never did.
And then I also put down Tales from the Crypt, Season 5, Episode 7, House of Horror, which is a very awesome episode.
Oh yeah, it's a great episode.
Yeah.
And then previous episode, No Escape. From
Man.
like year,
Oh, yeah.
from,
I could
like,
tell
year
you-
2.
Dude, what a callback on the cast, like The Mask, and
So I do it all the time for our cast and crew.
No, I know, but like a callback to season 1. Isn't The Mask season 1?
I think it's like Season 2.
It's back there for sure.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
it's
or
way back
sorry, year 1, not season. Sorry,
Oh.
year 1, year 2.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Donovan Leitch as Paul. The only thing I noticed him from was Cutting Class.
Oh, I just thought that.
He's one of the 3 on the front cover.
That's him? Oh my gosh, it is. Yeah. I was looking at it the other day and I was like, that dude looks familiar. And
Because
wow,
who is it? It's Brad Pitt, and then who's the girl?
she's from Popcorn and
from Stepdad.
Stepfather.
Or stepfather,
Stepfather,
yeah.
yeah.
Stepdad.
Ghost Dad.
Ghost dad. Dad.
Step.
Jeffrey DeMunn as Sheriff Geller. This guy is a Frank Darabont alum.
Dude, he is, man.
He's in Shawshank. He's in The Majestic. He's in Green Mile, The Mist, and even on The Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2, which is
Herschel? Is that his name?
it was not Herschel. It was I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, he was like the owner of the RV
Yeah.
that they traveled in. So it makes sense because Darabont actually co-wrote The Blob. So that's where it kind of like
Yeah,
the collaboration.
Which is weird because usually like a writer doesn't follow around actors.
Yeah.
But it is weird because Darabont wrote Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
So Chuck
Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess they those two met each other on I think it was Hell. Was it Hell Night or Hell High? Hell
High.
Okay.
You East Coast?
might-
I'm far East Coast.
Is Hell Night's a movie with
Yeah.
with what's her
Selma
name?
Blair.
No.
Hell Night. Yeah, or not Selma Blair.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's not her.
Don't listen to
was
this podcast. We know nothing.
Yeah, Linda Blair. Linda
Okay.
Blair.
Linda Blair.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
I was like, what are you talking about? But
you work
yeah.
all night and then you have to
That's
go
what-
do a podcast and talk to your friends about things.
Yep.
and-
Do you want me to keep going, or are you gonna pull up some?
It was
sort of trivia?
Hell High.
Okay, yeah, I've seen Hell High.
But they
before.
met on that, and Frank Darabont was a PA, and Chuck Russell was a producer, I believe.
Okay.
Which is kind of weird, right?
That's
like
kinda-
that collaboration. Can you imagine like meeting a producer on a movie and being like, "Hey, like let's write scripts together," and that just seems like you're talking about like the lowest tier and the
Yeah.
highest tier of a person on a movie set.
Probably just had a good rapport going on, and they just decided
That's but also these two probably shouldn't have been talking to each other if it was like a movie set. Like,
the
You know what I mean?
hierarchy.
yeah, there is. It's like
Hunter rolled his eyes when he said that.
I know, but I'm not saying that like they shouldn't be. I'm just saying that like
Coworkers aren't allowed. Other departments aren't allowed to talk to each other.
sometimes.
I mean,
Dude, all you got to do is you wear the right band shirt, and someone's like, "Oh, you like going to go Boingo? So do I." You're like, "Let's talk."
oh yeah,
yeah.
That's all it takes,
yeah.
man.
Let's party.
What? You trying to do Footloose?
Yeah,
Is that how he
Let's
says it?
dance.
Is that how he says it in the movie? He's like, "Let's party."
Party. Party.
Okay.
Okay, keeping going. Candy Clark as Fran, which is the diner owner. I wrote down Amityville 3D, which we'll probably watch at some point because you just bought the entire collection.
I did.
And then previous episode, she is Buffy's mom in the movie. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy's mom?
Yep.
Oh, okay. She only has like one
Wow.
scene.
Yeah, she only has one scene.
Yep. It's like literally
Yeah.
just.
It's like in the kitchen. She's like leaving. Oh wow. Okay, I need
Yep.
to watch that again. Okay.
Then we got Paul McCrane as the deputy, the a-hole deputy.
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
It took me a second.
He's the best. Like he has one of the scene stealers in
Yeah.
RoboCop, where he's the melting man.
So a bit of trivia about that. I guess Frank Darabont and Chuck Russell referred to him on the set of this movie as the melty guy from RoboCop.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Very
what
cool.
used to call
They
him.
should
Called
have had him.
the melty guy.
They should have had him melt again in this movie. That would have been a
For
great
some-
callback. Dude, that
Yeah,
would have been
talk
awesome.
about another movie where
Like you had the perfect opportunity to have
Yeah.
him recreate the.
That's pretty good.
"Help me!"
Yeah.
like it's the same exact. Like you could easily have the same death and it wouldn't be like
It would
stupid.
have just been an awesome callback.
Agreed.
Art LaFleur as Meg's dad. Previous episode, The Sandlot. He plays Babe Ruth. In that dream sequence. This one surprised me. Michael Kenworthy as the little brother of Meg.
Okay.
Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
Yes. Oh man, it
The
totally
main-
is.
like-
yes.
yeah.
That's what he's from. I don't look up any of these cast members because I
Yeah.
let you do it.
Yep.
And like that, yeah. There's so many I've seen, and I'm like, oh, he's from something.
Yeah.
He's from something.
They all look familiar, you know. Erica Eleniak as Vicky. E.T. Under Siege. Baywatch. And previous episode, Tales from the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood.
Dude, I always forget that we covered Bordello of Blood.
It's one of those hidden ones. That's from like year 3 or 4.
It's an early one. Yeah.
And then we have cameos by Bill Moseley. Previous episode, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jack Nance, which was a big surprise for me. Twin Peaks as Pete Martell.
The fish is in the percolator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who is he in this?
He's the doctor that they get when the homeless
Oh
man.
yeah. You know, when I saw him, I was
Yeah.
like, he looks kind of familiar. And I just-
Eraserhead.
Yep, Eraserhead himself.
Who? I don't know if you looked it up, and if you did, no big deal. Who was the rapey guy in the car? Was he
That-
anybody?
I did not look up.
Okay.
I didn't go that deep.
You're good. Every time I saw him, I was like, he looks familiar, but I think he just kind of looks like Eli Roth.
Okay.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
what I kept thinking about.
Did you mention the dad too?
Yeah.
Art LaFleur.
Yeah. Did you? Okay, you did mention that.
I feel like we've mentioned that name like 35 times on this
Yeah.
podcast.
By the way, it was Hell Knight, not
Hell Knight,
not
yeah.
Hell High. It was Hell Knight.
Not sure what it is. Never.
God.
That's the one with Selma Blair.
That's where it has like they spend a night
Linda
in the,
Blair.
it's on Shudder.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
They have it's like a televised event or something where it's like they could spend the night in the haunted house.
No,
you
Hell
know?
Knight's the one where it's the college initiation.
That's what it is. I think it's televised though. I think like they're televising it.
I don't.
I'm almost positive.
I don't
like
think they're televising
like-
it. I just watched it a few years ago when we did our
60%
slasher episode.
60% positive.
I don't know.
Really? But anyways, yeah, it's like a college initiation, so they go and spend the night in this supposed haunted house. It's honestly, what's weird, it's like that episode of Tales from the Crypt you
kind of
mentioned
is,
with
yeah.
Kevin Dillon.
Yeah.
They go in there and they set up all these scares
Yeah.
for them, but there's actually an actual killer in there
Yeah.
that's killing people.
Very cool. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Are you good on casting?
I
crew?
am good.
Okay. You did good.
Thank you.
Real quick before we jump into this, have you guys seen the OG Blob?
Yes,
I actually
several
have-
times.
I have not seen the Blob.
Either have I.
Is that Criterion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're
that's
check-
one of my go-to Halloween movies.
So it's good.
I haven't watched it in a few years now.
So then it's not your go-to Halloween movie.
but no, but
I mean,
like
you just said it was your go-to.
it's what I
there's-
watch every year.
there's like
so for the last couple of years.
10 Halloween movies where I like
Have to watch them.
I like well no I kind of like I'll watch like 3 of them out of that list a year because I don't want to like
Tarnish like
like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein or like I think Hocus Pocus used to be in there.
like Monster Squad's on mine.
Monster Squad was one that was like a heavy hitter for the longest time. The Blob was actually a heavy hitter for the longest time.
Okay.
How High is one for me.
Yeah, How High? Night of the Living Dead is one for me. That's the current one I've watched. I think 6-7 years in a row now.
Wow.
I watch it every Halloween, and then of course I watch.
Are you gonna
like,
watch? Are you gonna watch it again? Because we just watched it for Joe Bob like a few months ago.
I probably will. My goal this year, I'm trying to hunt it
watch it
down
again.
Yeah, again with my eyes this time.
Oh, okay, that's good.
My goal is to hunt it down on VHS, and there's a colorized version of it I really want to check out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the way I'm going to watch it
That's
this
interesting.
year.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what that looks like.
And it comes out on 4K on Blu-ray from Criterion this year. So
yeah, it
like
does.
maybe in a couple of years, like watching an extremely remastered one, like in a 4K edition. But
Yeah.
Should watch the Tom Savini one.
I kind of want to watch that.
I do. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I haven't
so
seen it since I was a
I couldn't
kid.
tell you
I
anything about
remember
it.
liking it pretty good, but
Yeah.
a lot of people talk trash about it.
Yeah. But when's the last time you saw it?
Probably like 10 years ago.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's
Yeah.
not like childhood
But
territory.
I did see it as a kid though. It was on
Yeah.
like TNT, I think.
Characters welcome.
Yep.
All
But
right.
what about the original?
What about it?
The original Blob.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you're just
tell
asking
me
if we've seen it.
Oh no, I was just wondering if you'd seen it.
I'll have to
before
check
you
it
got
out. I have access to that Criterion channel I always forget to watch or to
Yeah.
use. And I want to if it's on there, I'll probably watch it.
It's a fun little like B 1950s horror movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So jumping into the film, let's do it. We're
Did you just respond
Wow.
to your question?
I was talking to Amir.
Wow, you usually do like the let's dive right in. Let's do it.
Let's cannonball right in.
So we're immediately introduced to our three main characters. This all takes place in California. Opens up with this big football game. We meet Meg, the cheerleader, and Paul, who's the football player at the big game. And while we meet these characters, we're introduced at the same time to Brian, who's kind of like the rebel punk type guy, and he's gearing up to jump his bike across this bridge. This is done really well because you get the cheers of the football game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like cheering for Brian, who's Kevin Dillon, cheering for him to jump over the bridge,
Yeah.
which I think is like a cool intro.
Yeah.
Like it's very clever. I mean, it's not the cleverest thing in the world, but I'm already like,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very good introduction
Yeah.
to like all three. Because when Brian he attempts it right here, right?
yes, but he kind of bails because his bike is acting up.
But he gets some applause from the homeless man.
Oh, he does. Yes.
Which is
Okay, so I'll get there in just a second. So this whole movie takes place within a day's span,
Man,
and Paul asked Meg to go on a date that night. This is how everything starts. Meanwhile, Brian is fixing his bike because it shot out before he tried to do the big jump. So before all these events occur, we have this old man and his dog witness a meteor shoot across the sky, and they go to check it out. A la Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Dude, right?
I feel like
Yeah.
the scene is verbatim.
yeah.
Once again, another scene where I was like, "Is this that movie?"
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
'Cause I kept waiting the
100%.
dog to die. I was like, "When's the dog die?" And I was like, "Wait, that's Killer Clowns." They don't,
Yeah.
they don't kill the. I don't think they kill the dog off in this movie.
no,
No, there's no.
And if they do, it's off camera.
Yeah. So the old man.
No, they don't. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, the dog. I don't think the dog gets killed.
Yeah.
But the old man goes to check out the meteor, and his hand is attacked by like this goo type thing that like crawls up his arm. So he's dealing with this. Kevin Dillon runs into him, and then like tries to help him out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like actually, this is like I feel like you're not really sure what kind of movie this is, and then you actually like surprise gore when the homeless man tries cutting off his hand with the axe.
Yeah.
It's kind of cringy.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I feel like this whole entire movie is like really, really surprising with how gruesome it is.
Well, and that
it,
and then,
really jumps to that degree. I think if you were a fan of the 50s B movie,
Yeah.
50s movie or version, I think it'd be a huge surprise when you went and saw this and you're like, "Holy shit!"
I feel like it's the same thing with like The Thing, because if you look at the original, it's like generic.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just an alien.
And then,
It's like,
and then when you get to John Carpenter's The Thing, it's like, whoa, this is crazy brutal. Like, and just
the
gruesome.
same with The Fly.
Yeah, and The Fly too. Yeah,
yeah,
it's 80s.
It's like I don't even know if they planned it, but like all three of these movies are remakes that are very good effects.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Of course, like not to knock it, if I had to say negative about this film, which is me plenty because I don't like it, but if I had to say a negative about this movie, I would say the green screen is like
oh god, the green
hurry-
screen is
yeah, it's
definitely
bad.
Yeah.
I get it though
But
because
I'm fine with it. I was
at a s-
watching it. I was like, you know what? I'm fine.
yeah, at a certain point that thing's got to get bigger than like whatever they're throwing on a table. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's got to be bigger than the actors, and it's all they can. It's all they can do basically. You know.
yeah, and I
Like-
get it. That's what they had to work with, but it's still like it sticks out so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original's that. Well, I mean, that's how they did the original.
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
So if anything, it's like a callback to that special effect.
Sure,
Right.
sure. So while Kevin Dillon's dealing with all this, helping out the old man, we're setting up the date between Paul and Meg. And we have this joke, I guess it's an old joke, about this guy who goes to a pharmacy and he talks about getting condoms from
Art
Art
LaFleur?
yeah,
the dad?
that's the old joke
Yeah.
from the 50s.
Oh yeah, Art LaFleur. Sorry,
The Art LaFleur
Sorry,
joke.
I forgot we were doing a joke here. I thought you were explaining the movie.
But yeah, so the guy goes, buys condoms later on, picks up his date, and realizes that the father of his date is the guy that worked and sold him the
Yeah.
condoms.
Yeah.
So they put that joke here in the movie, but the whole joke is it's actually pretty good because the guy's not even buying he's not even buying condoms for the date.
It's for the
his
friend.
buddy
Yeah.
is, but then when he gets approached by the priest, he becomes kind of nervous about it. And then he's like, "Oh, it's for my buddy," and like cuts to his buddy. He's like, "Come on!" He's like, "I can't keep this girl waiting."
Yeah.
The joke
pretty
pays
good.
off. Like it is good.
This is great. I love this. Yeah.
Because when he does pick Meg up, then he puts his paper down and realizes who he is, and he's like, ribbed. Yeah.
Because when he orders the condoms like awkwardly, he says ribbed.
Yeah. And it's done really well. I like this little joke.
So here's a bit of trivia too. Paul and Meg actually, I don't know if they dated in high school, but they went to prom in high school.
Whoa.
Before this movie?
Before this movie.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Yeah. And that kind of, I guess they went to Hollywood High.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that a real
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, sure, why not? It's like it's a location with a high school.
I know, it just sounds like...
It sounds
it's
fake.
like, oh, I went to Sci-Fi Channel High. Like,
Wow, it's like
I don't know why it's the thing I thought of, but...
the quickest.
Sci-Fi Channel High.
Like I'm sure there's a Hershey High. Like when you
Oh,
eat too
you eat
many
too much
chocolate,
chocolate.
you eat too much chocolate. You're like, oh man, I can't go drive a car.
Oh, what?
I'm Hershey High.
Dude, I felt like we jumped on that joke at the
I
exact
know.
same time.
But no,
What's another school, Matt?
what's another school?
How high?
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Good callback.
Yeah, man. Like so, yeah. So yeah, it sounds like a fake school.
That's cool. That was actually really
When you
good
eat too
trivia.
many chocolate bars.
So Paul and Meg go on their date and don't even get to start their date because they instantly hit an old man with their
My
car.
God, yeah. The stunt is actually pretty good because
It
the
is.
guy actually gets hit.
He gets.
Because this older man is freaking out because the blob is eating his hand. One thing you didn't mention that was really neat is like how great that effect looks when he tries to hit off his hand. But what makes it is that the slime crawls up his arm and covers that spot he hit
Yes.
off. It's really cool
okay.
looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, they ended up hitting the old man, and then they all get in the car together after like a kind of a brief altercation between Paul and Brian. I like, okay, so not a spoiler. I like the dynamic of all three of them.
Yes.
I wish it would have stuck it farther in the movie.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is something.
Yes, would have been pretty
It's
legit.
really good, but the whole point of it is that
They're pulling I took it as they're pulling a psycho.
they are. They're pulling a setup here that you're supposed to be following this couple, and that
It's
the
crazy.
jock is going to be the
Yeah.
hero, and then he turns out not to be. Because that's what it is in the first Blob movie. It's more of like a jock character.
Okay.
Oh, it's because it's Steve McQueen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's why, like, so Killer
I
Clowns from
believe
Outer
he's
Space.
a jock. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
Yeah.
a jock in the first character.
Killer Clowns is like that, where it's a couple on a date, the cop shows up,
Yeah.
and then it's the three of them throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. Like, it's not like who gets the girl, there's just three people trying to survive.
Right.
And I kind of wish that was kind of a continuing thing.
I mean, watching this again I already knew what's going to happen, but it's like, man, they do such a good job following this character around Paul. It's like I would have wished they did more with him, but it's still very effective. The fact that they kill him off. So
for
early.
sure. And speaking of, so the scene, they take the older gentleman to the hospital. Kevin Dillon takes off, and while the old man is laying on, like one of the beds in the back of the hospital, Paul goes to check him out. And he's kind of walking back there, kind of curious, because he sees like his chest like pulsating under the covers.
Yep.
And then this is kind of our first real like gore moment, I would
This
say.
is nasty.
Because
Yeah.
Paul goes to get the doctor, they pull off the sheet, and like 2/3 of his body are just completely like acid.
It's like melted.
Yeah, it's, like,
basically.
melted away.
And like the effects are so good in this movie.
Oh, they
like,
really
it's
are.
crazy. It's like really crazy.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm a moment that I'm proud of. During this moment in the movie, I was eating cheese pizza.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
He definitely looks like cheese pizza.
Yeah,
under that
he
bed.
looks like
He
cheese
looks
pizza. Sir, you look like cheese pizza.
I would know. I'm kind of an expert.
Sir, you look like a tombstone. I'm dead. No, a pizza. No, what do you want on your pizza? You remember that commercial?
Yeah, what do you want on your tombstone?
Yeah,
It's
what
like
do you want
the execution.
Yeah, he's like olives and chicken and yeah. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Oh man, it's like I'm watching a commercial right now.
You're gravestone, you
Olives
moron.
and
Wow.
Twizzlers
And
and
thank you for playing that clip from that commercial,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, no problem. It's an old one.
Blindfold, monsieur?
No,
Cigarette?
no.
What do you want on your tombstone?
Pepperoni and cheese.
Tombstone pizza, Pierre!
What do you want on your tombstone? Real meat, real cheese. Much better tasting than pizzas made with imitation cheese. So what do you want on your tombstone?
Napkin?
No.
So Paul goes to call the cops in the other room, and the Blob happens to be in there. And just for the sake of describing this movie, the Blob gets bigger and bigger throughout this movie, which I like and I don't. I'll get there, but so it's a little bit bigger than it was in the older man's hand. It ends up falling on top of Paul, but we don't see what happens. And what might be my favorite scene of the movie is that Shawnee Smith, who is Meg, she turns the corner, sees Paul, and Paul's being it's actually the front of the cover of my DVD. It's him being pulled back by the slime or the Blob, and it's a really cool, it's a terrifying effect.
Terrifying looking.
And then it cuts to her reaction. I love the way she reacts.
It's great,
This whole scene is very well done.
It's actually kind of sad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally depressing.
Paul is not a bad character.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
So what's something that's really cool too in this version is they make him. I'm assuming the Blob's a man.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, he's a man.
Hey, it's me, John Blob.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me, Bob Blob.
Blob. The Blob is he has an acidic texture to him.
Yes.
And I guess the way they wrote it was as if it was a stomach that, as opposed to taking things in and the acid inside it burns whatever it eats. It's the acid on the outside burns as it comes in.
That's awesome. That's really
yeah.
clever.
So
Very
now I'm
interesting.
looking at it, I'm oh yeah, the Blob is basically just a giant stomach.
It's a tummy.
Oh,
They should have called it the tummy.
The tummy.
Quick, get some Tums.
Bob Belly. She tries to save Paul, and she ends up ripping off his hand.
Oh man.
She flies against the wall and kind of gets knocked out. And then Paul ends up, dying, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Brian, he left the hospital at this point. He ends up getting arrested. You know what? Even though the dialogue isn't this is earth shattering, the altercation, not the altercations, but the interactions between these characters.
The dialogue's I actually
Yeah.
gave it props this time around. I was some of the dialogue in this movie is
It's
pretty
good.
legit.
Even with the two cops and Brian, when
Yeah.
I'm into the scene.
Yeah.
The deputy who we're introduced to right here, or the sheriff, well, both. The sheriff, I believe him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do the right thing. But I think all the characters, regardless of their runtime, I was getting ready to introduce these two characters, but Sheriff Geller and Fran, who runs the diner, I like these characters too.
Yeah, I like these characters.
They're
a lot.
not amazing characters that are completely fleshed out, but I don't know if it's the actors that got to play them or if it's their dialogue, but I just like them. When the sheriff goes to the diner, meets with Fran to get some food, and then they kind of have this flirting and they set up a date for that night.
Yeah.
It's a charming scene.
That's something
that doesn't
though-
need to be in this movie, but it works.
Yeah, and that's something I feel like this version of the story is better than the original. Is that it has all these side characters? Because every time I've seen the original, all I remember is Steve McQueen. I don't remember anybody else.
It actually gives the town a lot of personality.
Yes.
Getting to really know some of the characters and stuff, and each death that you see in the movie, it's following that character for a good chunk, 3 to 5 minutes. We're seeing is just what he's doing, the movie, the projectionist.
Yeah.
You're just hanging out with him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you're oh, he's up here, the air conditioning's not working, and then something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the character's name other than he's a projectionist.
Yeah.
But you're getting to know that aspect of the town, which is really cool.
And what's cool, actually putting it that way, I really enjoyed, but I don't know why I said it was condescending. I like the words you just said.
Oh, thank you.
But when you watch a Friday the 13th movie, they make these characters have sex, do drugs,
Yeah.
or be jerks, whatever. So when they die, you're you don't have any attachment to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a movie like The Blob, everybody that does die, they're fine people.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no jerks or
Well,
anything.
and I think that's also the easy part about writing something like this is that now you're not writing characters into a situation that you're going to kill off. You can build a town.
Yeah.
And that this thing's gonna go rampant around the town, so you can write all these characters.
You just go from diner to sheriff's station or
it's like
hospital.
Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's there's all these side characters in Independence Day as you watch the movie because they got to build up an entire world of characters.
Yeah.
Not just a
you
small
guys are
town.
crushing it tonight. You guys are saying really good things.
Thank you.
Really?
Yep.
Oh.
No, seriously. I mean,
I was just gonna add to the sheriff because there's a line of dialogue that actually really kind of got to me
I thought you were gonna ruin it right here. You're like, he has a nice butt.
Oh,
and I'm like,
no,
oh man,
no,
you're saying great things.
No, this isn't year one of the podcast, Chris. We're professionals at this point. No, it's like after the whole hospital incident, they've already showed up to the hospital, the cops and all that.
Okay.
And he's got a line of dialogue. He says to like either the deputy, I can't remember quite who it was, but he's like telling how they need to call like the town or whatever. They're like, why? He's like, I'm worried about a friend tonight. You know what? I guess I'm worried about everyone tonight. And it's just like a nice little dialogue where it's like, oh, the whole town is about to be in a lot of shit right now.
And I wish, not to spoil it, but I wish he would have stayed longer in the movie.
Yeah.
Because he's a good character.
I don't know. His death reveal is pretty awesome.
That is A+, because that whole like buildup of like meeting later and then the diner owner calling the police station, that whole progression of events is A+.
So it's right here, literally. So Brian gets let go from the police station, goes to the diner, and Meg happens to meet him there too. Mm-hmm. So they are kind of having like this connection. She's like, you're the only one I can really talk to. This blob thing's killing people. And Fran, in the meanwhile, was like, hey, we're closing down. I'll get you some food, whatever. She goes back and she sees one of the cooks and he's getting eaten by the drain in the sink, which looks so good. Yeah. Because it's when his head gets sucked in, like the drain of the pipe like wraps around his head. So it looks like it's legit getting sucked in. I don't know. It's
and then it
really
shows like
the
pipe underneath the sink, and it's like getting wider.
Yeah,
and it starts leaking.
Yeah,
which is like really nasty.
Yeah,
but
it's so good looking.
Yeah.
And kudos to Fran because Fran freaks out. So to set it up, Fran is waiting for the sheriff to show up. They're closing up, but he's supposed to be there any minute. But Fran, talk about like using her head. It cuts to her, and she's smashing through a window with like a chair, and she like jumps out of it. Like the women in this movie, especially like Shawnee Smith. Yeah, and Shawnee Smith is not like your average like final girl. Like Shawnee Smith's pretty good in this. Yeah. She's like not taking any crap. Yeah. And as the movie progresses, she gets more like an Ellen Ripley type.
Oh god,
thing.
yeah, she turns into a complete badass.
Yeah,
by the end of the movie.
This is the first time I've watched it, and I've kind of viewed her in that aspect. I'm like, oh man, she's a really good female lead in this.
Yeah, and like she's saving Kevin Dillon by the end of the movie. You know, and that's really cool. Yeah.
So Kevin Dillon Meg and Brian, they run into the freezer because there's nowhere else to go. Mm-hmm. And this is when they realize that the cold is what kind of like, I wouldn't say kills. Yeah, like suppresses it.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
No, there's something I want to talk about with the town.
Okay.
So this is I'm assuming it's a skiing town. It's a snow town.
Is it?
Yeah, and they're like...
I wondered why the snow machines are there.
Yeah, they have snow machines, and then they have... like, he's in the mechanic shop. They're working on a couple of not ski jets. Like, snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles, yeah.
Okay. I guess it does make sense.
On one of the... I think it's on the movie marquee. It says, pray for snow, or something like that. And so I guess they're like a snow town.
Okay.
And they're probably like one of those like...
It's probably like the off-season, just getting stuff prepared.
Yeah, it's October, and they're like, hey, it's about to get cold.
Yeah.
Or it's starting to get cold, and like...
It is like weird aspects of like... So Meg is like laying in bed, and she's playing with her Christmas snow globe.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they're like trying to hint at like, get it snow, but like...
Or just like the fact that cold's going to play a big part.
Maybe. It's kind of odd.
It is a little odd, and that's what I was trying to pay attention to this time around watching it. And I was like... Are they trying to say something with it, or is it just kind of like...
Yeah.
The snow globe thing is really weird.
It is.
And I think it's because with her character, she's the one who's supposed to come to the conclusion by the end of the movie when she's hitting it with the fire extinguisher. She's like, oh, snow kills it. But also, like, does heat make it bigger?
I think it does.
Right?
Because explosions...
Yeah,
they toss the satchel charge in the sewer, and then it's like all of a sudden now it's like massive.
Very cool. I didn't really put that together.
And then when they're shooting it and everything like that,
I think in the theater, I think it gets electrocuted, which I think also there's like electricity or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that like causes
that's pretty cool. Did not think about that.
Every time they shoot it, I think it's like causing it to like,
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I was doing that just now.
Real sound effects.
But yeah, I think that's why it gets so massive by the end. It's just like everything, firearms, fire. It just causes it to get bigger.
Well, since we're on that topic of conversation, let's go for a question break. Matt, what do you got?
Okay, so we just got done talking about how the blob gets bigger because of the people he eats, or
the like explosions, fire.
Yeah, or the fire. Okay, so if you were a blob, what thing or food would you consume to make yourself bigger?
pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
Other blobs.
You'd be really tiny. There's none of us. Actually, outside of me and Hans are the only two blobs, so.
Oh man. If I could, what would I eat? Yeah, pizza sounds pretty dope. But maybe like, I don't know, like basketballs.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I was thinking. Oh, I changed mine. I'm gonna go with basketball.
Could I also pick basketball? That's so good.
It's too late.
Got it.
Student debt. Just so I would be a positive blob.
Oh my
That
god,
would-
you'd be huge. Nothing can beat you.
I don't feel so good. That was my Slither quote.
Oh, that was really good.
Okay.
Student debt.
What about you, Matt? What would you do?
Knowledge.
Oh wow.
I'd be big on knowledge.
And then when you died, it'd be like, it was knowledge that killed the beast.
Dude, I'd be like the largest, smartest thing on this whole planet.
Yeah,
Dude,
you look like what's his name from Green Lantern. You're like,
Pure Skarsgård.
Yeah.
We hope.
Can't stop learning.
I'm too smart.
I'm too smart.
What would be
This
the-
is a dumb idea.
So to piggyback off that question, what would be the thing, since ice is the thing that kills it or whatever, it ruins it, or
Yeah,
it just freezes it?
just an ice cube.
Yeah. What would be the thing that would calm you down?
Tums.
Tums.
Dude, Honda's not this out. Pizza and Tums.
Yeah, pizza and Tums. So just like a normal Monday night.
Just normal. Like
When you get a little Caesar's pizza and you're like, that was too much, and then Tums.
pop.
All right, so if I was eating all the student debt to help everybody out,
Yeah.
what would calm me down? Okay.
Biden's loan forgiveness.
I can't top that.
That's awesome.
I can't top that.
That is
Yep.
perfect.
What about you, Matt?
Probably, I guess like it'd have to be stupidity, right?
I guess so. You'd read like,
like offsets it.
Yeah, so it'd be like watching Jackass. It'd get smaller, like ugh.
Oh.
Yeah,
or like
something
a
that.
blob is reading like a Mad magazine in the corner.
I'm trying to fold that back page so I can make the picture. Like,
But it just like copies whatever the content is on that page. Because they're
That's
well,
awesome. Silly putty.
yeah. It just stretches out.
I'm like Alfred E. Newman at the end. I'm like, I don't know why I'm making the face. You can't see it.
They can't. Okay, so I have a question as well. So, do you think the blob itself has any feelings or emotions or like thoughts? Do you think it's like, I know it's a living organism, but does it like like I said, does it think? Does it feel?
You know, it's weird because there's
does it
times,
aerobicize?
There's times
Yeah.
where it feels like it's like trying to dupe somebody
You think
Right.
so?
in the movie.
like what scenario?
I don't know. Like,
It does the
does it
like
though?
the
I take that back.
Erica Eleniak in the car. It's like I'm gonna make this guy look real creepy as a pervert. And
Yeah.
and then I'll get him, teach him his lesson.
Got him. But like, yeah, kind of, but kind of not. Like, it just looks like it's like on its way from the hospital.
Yeah.
And it kills her, and then he happens to touch her, so he gets killed.
Yeah.
I wonder how it senses where people are, because it's definitely like either got really lucky finding the them in that car,
Yeah.
or it was actively like attracted to finding them or something.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's also like we're thinking way too much into it because it's like, oh, I went through the sewage pipe
Yeah,
just to get to Kevin Dillon, and
and it got the cook or whatever at
Yeah.
the diner. So it knew that was a good idea to like clog the drain or something.
I guess that's if that's like only like they're only running with the blob, where the blob is like finding them.
Yeah,
Like every other situation, they're going to the blob.
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean?
Maybe the blob is like, hear me out. Maybe he's like the Forrest Gump of blobs, where everything's just a coincidence. Like they think like, oh, the blob went after these people. I'm like, no, he didn't. He just happened to be there.
Yeah.
and,
The
you
blob
know.
was all these historic moments. It's just there. If you look in the background, he's there.
He's there. There he is.
Blob's just eating chocolate on that bench.
I have to pee.
Oh, of all the historic moments you chose, it was Forrest Gump sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
that's
not
your
great.
historical moment.
Okay, fine. I'll piggyback off that. It's like the
Chuckles.
president. It's the president shaking the hand of the blob.
Yeah.
It's like,
But like his hands like melting.
Playing ping pong, and it's just like they just keep getting stuck in his body. Or if it was basketballs, they were playing basketballs, you just be getting bigger, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Or the feather
That's a good
just
idea.
floating. The feather floating, and then it just like lands on him and dissolves.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
like
the
that.
blob gets in the bus.
So-
and he's like, I'm Forrest Gump. And you're like,
Oh God! Or it's like it's going on a marathon and she's like consuming all these things and then just stops and like, what happened, Mr. Blob? He's like, I just felt like going home and visit my mom.
or all the people follow the blob and he stops, like, wait, he's going to say something. And then the blob just kills all of them. Like, he got this group of hundreds of people to follow him and then he just ate them.
And then it does that and it's like shit happens. And it's like
Blob happens.
Yeah, we're just saying
Sometimes.
We're just saying clips from
Now we're just
Forrest
quoting.
Gump.
Yeah, now this. So yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't think it has feelings.
I think I can feel pain.
So you don't
Because
think
when you
there's
get shot by bullets, it does this like turn around. It's like, ah! Like you hear it.
does it really?
Yeah. It sounds like a.
Or yeah, but it could also go into the fact that like we were talking about how fire makes it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe its whole goal is to just get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And
designed.
then the one person shooting the gun, it turns to it because it's like, oh, that's making it bigger.
But it screams when it does it.
Yeah, that's stupid. That was an accident.
I'm sorry about that.
So yeah, like I don't want to like jump way ahead, but it's definitely man-made, right? It's a
Yes, it is man-made.
Okay, so I do have a question. about
Okay.
that. So do
Okay.
you want
Wait,
to do it
let's
now?
wait till
Okay,
later,
that's fine.
yeah.
Because I got it. Okay. All right. So Fran, the diner owner, escapes just in time. She gets out. She runs to a phone booth to call the sheriff, who's supposed to be there by now. But I don't think she knew he was going to be there. I think he took upon himself to show up, so she wasn't
I
expecting
think there was
him.
just basically plans to meet up. So she
Kinda,
calls
yeah.
the station asking for him, and she's like, the operator or the secretary there is like, "Oh, the sheriff is on his way down to the diner right now."
Yes.
And this is
And-
like perfect. This is perfect.
Yeah, this is done so well because the slime is covering the booth. We find out that the sheriff's not there, and then she looks over, and the sheriff's face is like in the blob, and I think he's still alive.
He's definitely alive. His
'Cause
eyes
his
are
eyes
moving.
are
His
moving.
eyes are moving.
Yeah, it's
his
really
eyes are
creepy.
moving, yes.
Super messed up.
And you know what's cool? And this sounds stupid, but like, that's awesome that they threw the sheriff's badge on him.
Yeah.
Just to be like, by the way, this is the sheriff, not some random guy.
No.
Yeah, because when I was a kid and I didn't pay attention to things, I didn't realize this was the sheriff.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's basically. I mean, if you have to pay attention to the dialogue because it hits right at the right moments. Because right when the secretary says the sheriff is already down or on his way to the diner, cut to immediately the sheriff's in the blob.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the progression
yeah.
of like it's just like perfectly timed.
the editing's done very well
Yeah.
on that. So Meg and Brian end up getting out, and they go to the police station to find the sheriff. Sheriff's not there, but they say that the deputy is over where like the meteor actually landed.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to get the deputy, and this is when we discover like there's this whole like military operation that's led by this scientist. His name is Dr. Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of explains a lot. He's like the Chris Farley in Wayne's World.
Wow, that guy knew a lot about this.
So like he explains everything that's going on, and I like his line because he's like, "Why don't you go ahead and get in the car?" And he says something, or Kevin Dillon's like, "Oh, it sounds like we're prisoners," and he's like, "No, you're my patients." And
Yeah.
like I like this guy because you don't know if you could trust him or not. Even watching this again for the like second time, I was like, "Is this guy trustworthy?" I have no idea. Like I wasn't sure. So Meg and Brian, they end up getting taken into town, and Brian like hops out of the car. I think this is kind of a weird scene, but I also like the divide because they've had a connection the entire movie that's building and building. And then Meg's like, we got to do the right thing. We got to stay with the cops or whatever.
Yeah.
And Brian's like, no, I'm a rebel. It's going to
I'm
their
a rebel,
cheerleader.
Dottie.
Yeah.
Meg is singing Jimmy Crack Corn.
He jumps off the
Brian jumps off.
Well, what's really cool is that he opens the door with the ratchet
Dude,
set.
okay, so
that
I wrote this down.
Okay,
Yeah.
talk
I'm
about
listening.
It, talk
he
about it.
borrows a ratchet set from his. I'm assuming it's his boss, right?
Yeah, it's from the mechanic shop.
Yeah, from
basically.
the mechanic shop to fix his bike in the beginning
Yeah,
of the movie.
yeah.
And he uses that same ratchet set if you watch him to unlock that back door. But they never really pay attention to it. It's just kind of there.
So I was paying attention to this last night. This is for me. This is like a really cool character trait of this guy. is that he's like got his motorbike and he's got the ratchet set. It felt like very Indiana Jones. Like Indiana Jones has the whip, the revolver, and like whatever. I don't know. It was just.
I have a fucking ratchet
dude,
set.
dude, it's just really cool because he was actually using it
Yeah.
throughout the movie. Like,
That's pretty
it's
cool.
Really, it's a
Does
really,
he use it again?
I think he uses it one other time. I thought.
Does he? Okay. Yeah, it's just really cool because they don't pay attention to it.
No,
like
it's
they
just-
don't hyper focus on it, but that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's just like I don't know. Something about it is just like really cool to me.
It's
yeah,
a cool way
I
to put
like.
it, yeah.
And it's like a plausible escape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, I also know how to like pick locks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like a bullshit reason to get somebody out of a trap. It's like, yeah, it made more sense to.
To use the tools that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's the whole thing with Kevin Dillon too is like I don't think they play him as stupid, but like he's just a character who doesn't apply himself.
Yeah.
Because as the movie goes on, he's not like the smartest man in the world, but
He's definitely like the
he's
loner,
resourceful.
He's the loner type that probably doesn't, he's not respective of authority, obviously.
yes.
Yeah.
You
Like
know.
his parents aren't around.
Yeah.
Or his mom. Sorry, his mom's not around. His dad's
Oh
not.
yeah, because no one
not
knows where his dad is.
existing,
Yeah. So Meg gets back into town, and everybody's kind of quarantining towards like this like town hall church type thing, and we find out that her brother and her brother's friend have snuck into a movie.
Yeah. This movie is awesome.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, I want to watch this movie now.
yeah.
It's not hockey season.
I was cracking
Because
up with
it's this couple, and they are like on a campground, and actually one of the girls the girl is Julie from Growing Pains.
that. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
It was like Kirk Cameron's like girl on the
Yeah.
the show. But yeah, she's sitting there, and it's so great because
Just
like,
like-
isn't it kind of late to be
Trimming the hedges
yeah.
or something.
And then all of a sudden, like he has this like realization. He's like, "Wait a minute, hockey season ended months ago." Because he's wearing a hockey mask.
I actually
It's-
fell for it too because I was like, I don't remember this part of the movie.
It's great because it's not shot like you're watching a movie. It just cuts to the next scene.
Yeah, it cuts to like
Yeah.
a grain on it, and you're like, okay, they're at the movie
Yeah.
theater.
And it cuts to the two kids watching the movie. And behind them is this guy who's already seen the movie and is completely describing the movie to his girlfriend.
Oh, it's,
Yeah,
like
this-
it's like those people at ET when we saw it in IMAX. a couple
Or
years
any
ago.
movie Matt's ever been to.
Dude,
Really?
no kidding, man. Yeah, I was like, I know this kid. I was like, I wish a blob would come down and take the people that are
Yank 'em
sitting
up.
behind me, to the right of me, to the left of me, and in front of me.
So there's so much going on here at the scene, but it's totally worth talking about. The projectionist, he's not getting any AC into his booth, so he looks
Smart.
down.
This is smart. Yeah.
Yeah, so he looks down, the blob grabs him, and then this effect's great because like when his boss comes up to check on him, the blob has him on the ceiling, and his face is like terrifying.
And what's
looking.
I mean, it's cool because like you see when they first introduce him, he's got the yo-yo. He's playing around with it, and that's how they reveal that he's on the ceiling because the
Yeah.
yo-yo comes down from the ceiling and looks up. It's just a cool like.
It's a really
progression
cool
of-
reveal.
Yeah.
So then the blob ends up taking the guy who talks too much behind the
Yeah,
kids.
it's awesome.
That's like the first kill. Everybody goes into panic. Meg arrives just in time. And then you're getting this flash of light, like a strobe effect throughout the theater.
Yeah.
It's a really cool looking
It's
scene.
very,
I love the way
very
this
intense.
looks. Yeah, the only thing that ruins it is when it cuts to the, like you can tell it's green screen.
Yeah.
It's such a flawless scene, except for when you're like, you see like the back of her head, and then you're like, oh, that's green screen.
Like
because,
the colors don't quite match up.
yeah. But yeah, so much is going on. The blob's just killing everybody. And then like even Meg like sees, I don't know if it's a girl or boy, but she's
Oh.
like laying in the aisle.
Yeah.
And then like
She's
just
half melted.
trying to help her out. And then like her face is like half gone. It's
Yeah,
a really
it's
cool
crazy.
reveal.
Lots of good reveals.
Yeah. So Meg and the two children get out, and their only escape is to go to a sewer. And that's like their kind of like hiding spot for like the next. Good.
Oh, I was gonna say they never show what happens because the two kids they get into this movie by sneaking in because the friend's brother works as
Yeah,
the
he's an
ticket.
usher.
Yeah.
But they never show what happens to him, right? Because they show
Yeah,
they
they-
show
I was-
him looking down from the alley like Eddie, like
Yeah.
run, which is like super sad at the end. that
Yeah.
the kid.
Oh yeah, he just like leans out the window. Yeah, good
yeah,
catch.
Which is like, oh,
He's like, Meg, call me when my brothers are okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Call me if my brother's not okay. You're like, oh my god, I can't
do
make
I-
that phone call.
I got a call.
How do I explain this situation?
I'm just gonna assume he's okay if you don't call me.
So they go to the sewer to hide out, and then we also find out at this point, too, because there's all this explanation, that the Blob is a biological warfare experiment that was created during the Cold War. It grew as a mixture of bacteria mutated from like outer space radiation.
Yeah.
I only understand half of that sentence. Okay.
Is that verbatim?
Yeah.
Because they stick the bacteria on the satellite because the satellite ends
That's
up
what my
crashing.
question is. Okay, so
satellite-
I have two questions. So
Okay.
my question is, why does it come as a meteor if it's man-made? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It turns out to be a satellite.
It's a satellite.
Yeah.
It's not. It looks like a meteor.
I think
okay.
it's like encrusted with something, and they break it apart, and it turns out to be the satellite. And it says USA like on the side.
Yeah.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that scene.
That's why I
now.
actually like don't remember this being what happened. Which
Yeah,
is
I
kinda-
totally don't. I just watched it 24 hours ago. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of blew my mind. Okay.
But yeah, it's like the convenient. I'm going to eavesdrop on this government agent while he just explains the plot of what the
and
plot
he's
is.
like 50 yards away, dude. He's not hearing this conversation. Yeah. Okay, that kind of blew my mind. I did not see that it was a satellite.
Yeah, so it's
whatsoever.
basically, I think the idea is the Blob is man-made so they could like use it against the Russians. Is the
during
idea?
the Cold War. Yeah.
Yeah, like as a biological weapon.
So my question is, they knew it was going to land, right? Because that's how they got out there so quick. Because he makes a comment. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, why are they
yeah.
here so fast?
That's the big confrontation at the end. It's like, every meteor they're just going to show up. Like, why this one specifically? Other
Yeah.
than,
Man, I just okay, cool. Like percentage wise, like it just went up a percentage because so now it's at 2. It's at 2%.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
cool!
Sure.
It's a 2% movie.
Yeah.
It's better than Return to
you've
Salem's
watched,
Lot.
You've watched
I
11
don't know.
times.
2 times. So the evil scientist, while Meg and the kids are in the sewer, our evil doctor scientist Meadows is like, all right, let's trap the Blob in the sewer.
Yeah.
Even if that means that all these people that are in the sewer are going to die. Meanwhile, while they're trying to escape, probably in the most horrific scene of the movie for me is when the brother's
Oh my God.
kid gets taken away. Like he's like pulled away in the water, but he's kind of like skimming the top of the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
And then I think this is a kind of a dumb move on her end, but she dives in to go get him.
Yeah.
Like what were you gonna do?
Also, they don't accurately depict the sewer. I feel like at all with the water and everything.
Yeah.
because it's piss and shit.
oh yeah,
And
for
this
sure.
is what I was wondering.
I'd be like,
is that where stuff goes?
Is that where
I'd
it
be
goes?
like-
Because I thought like it just disappears.
oh, is that what you think?
I thought I didn't know that's where they put that stuff.
They should have been like, speaking of Darabont, like Tim Robbins in that sewer, like just barfing.
Yeah,
more
because there's
accurate.
2 football fields and
Yeah.
the Blob's chasing you. Well, okay, they brought it up in a little bit of dialogue. The scientists were talking about how
That's piss and shit down there.
Yeah. Oh my God, I don't want it anymore. Don't save it. I don't want it.
Don't say it. We'll do another one.
We'll make another one.
The Blob were like the Dookie.
They call them aqueducts.
The way you call them what?
They call them aqueducts.
Aqueducts. Oh, interesting.
And that's weird because they said like, yeah, if we block off all these aqueducts, we can trap the Blob here.
Interesting.
So I don't know if it's like, I am assuming they're in the sewer. I
Yeah.
always thought they were in the sewer.
They're just underneath the town. That's
Yeah.
like the sewer system.
But yeah, I mean, she's gonna come up if she's like, she goes diving in to look for him underwater. She's gonna come up with pink eye like.
That's exactly what I was about to say. She's like, oh, my eyes.
And the little brother's gonna be like, "It got your eyes."
The Blob, it's in your eyes.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's nasty. It's
Yeah, that's all
disgusting.
I can think of.
It's
just like-
wretched. All of this is wretched.
Especially
They
if she
don't
comes up and she's like does like that water fountain trick where she's like spitting out of her mouth like.
That's so nasty.
Well, she probably kept her eyes
I'm a
open.
blob.
Yeah. She probably kept her eyes open to look for
Exactly.
Eddie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And she's under there for 5 minutes, is what I counted.
is that what you counted?
Yeah, she's under there for 5 minutes just swimming.
Yeah.
I don't understand
It's like,
why she
It's
dives
like
in.
Mario playing the Mario song.
Yeah. She takes a straw and turns it into a snorkel. She's,
Little bamboo straw.
if I drink the water down here, there'll be less water to swim around and easier to see with
this
it.
is nasty. This is disgusting.
So
Oh, I'm
Eddie
so sick.
Eddie gets pulled away. She dives in to get him for no reason. and then he pops out screaming. It's terrifying.
I feel like this is a rarity of
They don't skimp, man.
child death in
It
movies.
is.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
skimp on the deaths in this movie. They're
No,
like,
no, they're all in, and I appreciate it.
yeah.
Another scene I can get confused with is the end of Jason Takes Manhattan when they're in the sewers.
Yes.
And then like baby Jason comes out
Yeah.
of like the water or whatever.
Yep.
Like very similar like backdrop.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So now it's just Meg and her brother. They're trying to get out, and her brother's able to get out because he can fit through like what'd you call them?
The
Matt?
grate,
The Dookie windows.
the aqueduct.
Close the poo-poo windows.
Alan Rickman.
I guess.
McLean.
Poo-poo windows.
So he gets free, and Meg does this like epic like leap backwards into the water, like Ellen Ripley at the end of Alien 3.
I'm going back in. Wait, I think there's more down here. I'm going back in.
She's like, "You can clearly fit these bars." Nah, I can't. Save yourself. So he gets away, and while we're having this whole altercation so Kevin Dillon is in the sewer with his motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, he was hiding from the
Like the military
Oh
personnel.
boy, I forgot to mention sorry to go back.
No, you're fine. What's
Sorry
up?
to go back.
If it's worth it.
The whole chase scene with the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the chase
Oh,
scene.
it's so epic, dude.
It's
I'm
awesome.
talking bridge jumping, car crashing, helicopters above, all at the same time.
all in one shot, and it's real.
It's really cool.
It rules.
Yeah.
But also, I took this. I don't know if it's in your trivia notes.
Go ahead.
So Steve McQueen stars in The Blob, the original. I don't know if this
That's
is
your
supposed,
notes?
I don't know if this is supposed to be a play on the motorcycle chase in The Great Escape, which is also Steve McQueen.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it had a real feel of like he's chasing from all, or he's riding away from all of the soldiers that are chasing him, and
Okay.
it happens like almost exactly like
I
Great
can see
Escape,
it.
where
I
he's,
mean, I
like,
even
turned
know what scene
around
you're
and-
talking about. Yeah.
And he even does a ramp.
Yeah,
Like a barbed
no
wire. He does a
kidding,
ramp
man.
over the bridge in the Blob. Like, I took it as like a homage to The
That's
Great
it.
Escape.
Does Steve McQueen have the same haircut in the original Blob?
Yeah.
As Kevin Dillon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wish.
He's the
Yeah.
the cooler king.
I wish.
Cooler kid. I'm obviously cooler. Apparently, we can fine. You want to bring up the hair? Let's bring up the hair.
you got some
Apparently,
trivia?
these are extensions
Oh, really?
that he was told to wear.
I'm
But-
knocking it down a percentage.
Can we talk about his shirt? What is that?
Oh.
Was gonna be one of my
the
questions.
Jerry
is-
Seinfeld shirt?
Yeah, one of my questions was,
Actually,
what is
that's-
Kevin Dillon's shirt?
I didn't notice this.
You didn't
It
notice his
looks
shirt?
like
I thought
okay.
it was
So
just
the
like I thought
shirt
it was just like a button down with a black
it
shirt.
looks like the shirt that the Star Trek Enterprise crew wears, where it's like a bib that you can like unbuckle. that's attached to
the
your
white
shirt.
shirt. The white shirt, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the one, yeah.
I thought it was the Han Solo shirt.
That's
Is what
okay.
I
Oh,
that's
wrote
similar
down.
too. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the
it looks
shirt-
like it looks like something Captain Kirk would wear in like the
Yes.
final battle.
Yeah, because you really notice it the scene where the deputy and the sheriff have him like locked up, and I remember like that whole scene while I paid attention, I was very distracted by that shirt.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So at this point, Kevin Dillon, who plays what's his name, Brian. Brian is in the sewer with the motorcycle, and I really paid attention to see how many scenes that he was actually driving the motorcycle, and if he's not, it's covered up really well.
Hence the extensions.
Yeah. So Kevin Dillon goes to the sewer, saves Meg, and they run into one of the workers that happens to be trapped in the sewer.
Yeah, Bill Moseley.
Yes. Which is weird because, like, looking at it now, I expected it to be such a long scene. It's like, oh, it's Bill Moseley. And I'm like, he's a nobody at this point as
Yeah.
far as acting is concerned.
I mean, this is probably around the same time as Texas Chainsaw 2.
Does it? Oh, yeah.
That's a good...
Because Texas Chainsaw 2 is like 86, I think.
And
Yeah.
this is 88.
Yeah.
This is
88.
exactly 30 years from the original Blob.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Real quick to pedal back because I wanted
Yeah.
to fact check your little like possible trivia there.
Yeah.
It's the exact same brand of motorcycle.
Motorcycle?
Yeah, that
It has to be.
It's the Great Escape. It's a Triumph
Yeah.
that he rides in the Great Escape, and it's a Triumph that he rides in the Blob.
Nice. It
has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved
Good-
I loved the
good
chase
eye,
scene
dude.
because I just watched Great Escape like earlier this year,
Okay.
which is that movie's awesome.
Yeah.
And that chase scene in the movie is also awesome. So it was like nice seeing like the mirror, like
Cool.
the
Very
homage,
cool.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So they run into Bill Moseley, who think Bill Moseley dies, does he?
They don't show him.
I was gonna say,
They don't show
I
him
don't
dying.
think so.
He gets hurt.
He gets. I think he gets the blob like swiped.
Okay.
And then the other two guys get killed.
Okay.
But he has the rocket launcher, and Kevin Dillon.
Well,
Brian,
so the reason I
yeah.
didn't mention is the reason they're stuck down there is because they ordered one of the trucks to drive over the manhole, so they can't push the lid up.
Yep.
But Bill Moseley happens to have a grenade launcher. Great coincidence. And Kevin Dillon blows the manhole off, blows up the car. So
And I guess it should be stated that the Meadows is trying to like cover the manhole because Brian overheard the entire plot of this movie from
Yes.
him. So he
Yeah.
doesn't want the plot synopsis of the Blob to get revealed to the town.
That's what he says. So Meadows, like the evil scientist, tries to convince everybody that, like, hey, Brian's contaminated and he needs to die.
It's kind of a legit like standoff, like a
Yeah,
Mexican
because you have
standoff.
the deputy who doesn't know who to point his gun
Yeah,
at. He's kind of
yeah.
like torn back and forth. And then Meadows ends up dying. I think Meadows' death is pretty cool.
It's pretty
too.
cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because he gets pulled into the sewer and it like goes into his mask.
Yeah, he's hanging on by like the gun that's
Yeah.
like holding on to the.
It's like propping him so he won't
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it's awesome.
And then his body, the way his body flies into the
Oh, it's-
manhole,
yeah, it
is
looks
very
like
like
a-
ragdoll.
It looks like Nancy's mom from Nightmare on Elm Street.
100%.
Where it's
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Boneless girl.
Yeah.
It was like, like he has no spine. It's just like. Throop.
Yep.
Dude, Matt brings up Boneless Girl more than
Yeah,
anything.
didn't you guys just play that game in high school?
No.
On the computer?
No.
Yeah, me neither did I.
Me either did I.
I just watched somebody play it. I was like, that's disgusting.
Me either did I.
I was like, you should be learning in this library, not playing games.
If you were
on
a
the
blob,
computer.
you'd try to learning everything you can. Right
Yeah.
now.
That's true.
Knowledge should be your food.
The military, they realize what's going on, so they try to blow up the blob with all these like grenades and explosives.
I love the way this colonel who like assumes the leadership or whatever.
Yeah.
When he gets like pulled under by the blob and it's like about to fall on him, he like pulls out the grenades.
Yeah.
It does nothing, but it's just a cool like.
It's
way
a
to go
cool,
out.
yes, it is pretty
It's
cool.
awesome.
We also have like flamethrowers that are getting shot at. It actually hits, we haven't really mentioned him because he's not like a huge part of the movie, but the priest and the reason. So the priest is very intrigued by everything that's going on, and he comes over to see what's going on.
I mean, like it's
and
kind
it's
of
just bad timing.
It's kind of. I mean, like for the priest, this is like a religion-shattering moment. I feel like
Yeah.
an entity from space. That's like that is wild. That's got to be wild.
And that's probably
for-
why, yeah, like earlier he collects like crystals, the crystallization of the
Yeah.
blob.
I actually don't like his character.
I don't like the ending.
I don't like the lead up to it. I feel like he should be, because they show him in the beginning during the condom scene.
Yeah.
And he seems pretty decent. He doesn't seem anything like.
But he turns into like a supervillain.
Yeah, and then by the end of the movie, he's like crazy, and I'm like, maybe you should just made him crazy from the get go.
Yeah.
And then so when we get to that end, that reveal, it's like, oh man, now
They should have made him like
Crazy
a
guy.
like a homeless like street preacher type, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from The Stand.
Yeah.
oh, really?
Do you remember that? Like him walking around the sign, ringing the bell, like, the end is near. No.
Can we talk about the stand for a second?
If it has something to do with the blob, sure.
It does.
Okay.
So
He's in the
apparently,
movie in the background. Historic moment.
Frank,
Sorry.
Frank Darabont. A lot of people are standing in this movie. No,
That's your fact?
That's such a dry
that's it.
delivery. I was like, that's it.
Apparently, there's a lot of references to the stand in this movie.
Really?
That was written by Frank Darabont.
Okay, the flag thing I caught,
Yeah, his Kevin Dillon's last name's Flag.
which is
Which is-
ironic because Meg is in the stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you doing the trivia?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, geez, do your job. I'll do mine. Flag's last name, Randall Flagg,
Randall
is a
Flagg.
character from The Stand.
Yeah.
Flag's that last name of our main character, Kevin Dillon.
Deal.
The movie is about a super virus that is created by the government.
Yep.
Okay.
Another reference. This one's not in the movie, but in the script. But the homeless man in the beginning is referred to as the Can Man.
Yeah, the Can Man.
Yeah, and then in the
Trash can.
Yeah, Trash Can Man is the character from The Stand.
I see that. Okay.
And then, like what you said earlier,
Oh, yeah, it's just a coincidence.
yeah,
But yeah.
coincidence. Shawnee Smith is in both this and The Stand.
Interesting.
So
Very interesting.
Okay. I
And
like it.
there's probably more references in there,
But I don't want to talk about
It
him.
takes place on the planet Earth.
Yeah. There's, but there was
People
like,
have heard of Gary Sinise.
I saw one earlier and it was kind of like, I was like, I don't think that's a direct reference. They're like, yeah, somebody's name is Penny, which is a reference to Pennywise from It. And I was like, that's a little like.
Their name is Penny and they're wise.
Yeah, somebody uses a penny.
Oh, okay.
Penny's wives.
Penny for your thoughts, wise?
That's it.
That's
okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, moving on.
So Meg does save the priest. She puts him out with a fire extinguisher. And this is more like, okay, Cold fights off the Blob.
Yeah. Yep.
So my question is, another question.
Okay.
How does Kevin Dillon realize that the Cold defeats the Blob?
Kevin Dillon doesn't realize
Yes,
it.
he does.
She
'cause-
realizes
No,
it.
Kevin Dillon goes and grabs the snowblower. Why does
But
he automatically
she has
do this?
because she does, because she has a fire extinguisher.
But he's not around for it, so how does he know? Like, there's no like, the Cold gets him. He's like, I got an idea. Like, it just cuts to him.
I think
they also realized from the freezer at the beginning of the
Yeah, that's actually
that
pretty
the
good
Cold,
one.
it,
Yeah.
like basically.
Okay.
You ever watch a movie so many times that you forget like little scenes like that? Like I'm pretty sure there's a scene where she sees him do that and he says, "I have an idea."
Oh, okay.
And right now I can't
I think
I
there
can't
is.
really process that whether that's actually in the movie. Or not.
I don't think
I've
there
seen
was,
the movie so many
but
times.
yeah. So at this point, he's going to get the snowblower. All the survivors, like, they retreat to this town hall. They're like holding off the Blob with like barricades, fire extinguishers, et cetera, et cetera. And then as they're losing, like, the building starts to like catch on fire
Yep.
and like devour. So while Brian is going to get the snowmaker truck, there's all these, like, I guess there's liquid nitrogen attached to the snowmaker. I guess that's how you make
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
For like ski resorts, if that's what this
It's
is
like
for.
the fake snow. It's like what our snow center uses. Pretty.
I just
much.
never thought
Oh,
of
yeah.
liquid nitrogen being like the source of
Yeah.
making fake
Right,
snow.
right.
Don't eat it, man.
I wasn't going to. So as like the Blob is about to kill Meg and her family, Brian shoots all this like snow at it, and then the Blob. I think the Blob makes more noises right here because it does. Like, watch it again. It's like dinosaur noises.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you know,
That's
kind of
really good. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a pretty gnarly death in this scene too. It's the death of the deputy, which is a major surprise. That
How does he die?
Oh, he gets pulled through
Oh, yeah.
the bookcase.
Dude,
Oh yeah, backwards, man.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a folding
He's the
chair.
backwards man. The backwards man. Backward man.
I can fit into a library shelf.
But yeah, he gets bent like basically in half,
Yes.
and it's like holy moly.
Yes,
this
it's
is-
very a la Friday 13th Part 6.
yeah.
When the sheriff gets like bent backwards
Yeah.
from like
Or like Freddy vs. Jason, the guy in the bed.
Oh,
Gets,
yeah.
like folded
Yeah.
up. You know.
Or like when you got to eat your pizza really fast, you don't have time for the whole
Yeah.
slice, so you just fold that fucker
Yeah.
and just like
Cool. Fold that.
You fold that fucker and get twice the bites.
But it's cool seeing this like kind of assault on the town hall because people are like getting eaten. It's not just like they're holding it off and it's like everyone's safe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like really cool. But I also love the really incredibly fake part of the Blob like crawling through the streets and it's like picking up people. It's like definitely like little
Yes.
puppets and like
Yes.
their little legs are kicking. I love it.
Dude,
I love
it's
everything
especially
about
like
it.
right here when the Blob flips over Kevin Dillon's truck.
Yeah.
And it starts to like go towards the truck. You can tell like it's a toy car.
It's a toy car for
Yeah.
sure. Yes.
And so like Kevin Dillon is like stuck inside this car and the Blob's getting it. Shawnee Smith, who's Meg, tries to save him by like rigging all these explosives. And she's also like shooting this machine gun, like I said,
Yeah.
like Ellen Ripley at the Blob.
Yep.
And this is like another like small scene that I really enjoy is that when she sets the explosives, she tries to jump off the truck she's standing on, and she slips and she gets caught on her foot.
Dude, what
and
a
it's,
stunt.
I think it's an awesome human element to like a scene.
Yeah.
Of not
Yeah.
just being like, and she looks badass and she wins. Like, nope, shit happens, and this is like I really enjoy
This looks like it hurts too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
knocked
Yeah.
out, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. So while the Blob is coming towards her, Kevin Dillon is able to escape the truck because of her saving him, and he comes and he gets her down, and then the explosions, like it explodes like the snowmobile itself, crystallizing like the Blob.
Yep.
So the Blob's not dead, like we said. It's just kind of like catatonic at this point. And it's insane how quick everything goes from like it's the end of the world to happy.
Oh,
Because-
it's like it's playing like some really nice music.
well, the
and-
music's nice, and then the owner of the garage that Kevin Dillon works at throws a snowball at him, and he's like, "Hey, see, we got snow." I'm like, dude, hundreds of people just died. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do this
And
later.
Ernie Hudson's like, I love this town.
So like that's kind of the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But we do have
Yeah.
like
It's like
it feels like a
this feels like it's like a post credit like after scene or whatever. It's like
and actually I think that would have worked better after the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Well, let's
yeah.
talk about it real quick and we'll discuss it. But we find out later on that the priest has moved to a church service that's like in the middle of this field in like a tent. He's all disfigured now.
Pop up tent.
Yeah. And I guess he's pretty much like driven crazy by all these events. And he keeps talking in his sermon
Yeah.
about like doomsday and about, talking about like the Blob's attack without talking about the Blob.
I would eat basketballs. That's how I would get bigger. Thank you.
So he goes back and he takes a drink because apparently, I guess he's always been kind of an alcoholic. They like show that
Did they
earlier.
show him actually drinking?
Yeah, he's got like a bottle
Okay.
in a brown paper bag or something. you
Yeah,
think?
he drops it
And
when
then-
he comes across the crystals the first time.
No, he drops it when Bill Murray drives by in his cab.
Oh, okay.
And he gets all wet and
Yeah.
he's like, "Ugh." Scrooged. I tried.
Oh, got
It wasn't good.
Got it.
It
got
wasn't
it,
good.
Got it.
So
Just finish the scene.
So one of the ladies working there comes back and she's like, "When?" And he's like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "When will we see like the end of the world or whatever?" And he's like,
Whatever the hell
"Soon."
you're talking about.
Whatever you're all that mumbo jumbo.
All these sermons, like, when are we gonna see it?
Can you repeat what I said? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Soon. But then he picks up a glass jar and it's the crystallized
At
blob.
noon? Did you say noon?
Guys, he said noon.
That's the credits are. You just hear that person's voice. Noon?
Noon?
At noon, really?
Cuts to black noon.
That's like 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, you see in a glass jar that he saved the blob earlier in the movie when it was like crystallized.
Yeah.
Cut to black. And so that's the end of the blob. Before we get into it, we do have a few questions we want to go over. So,
Yeah. So here's a pop-up question for you.
Kind of like the pop-up
Pop-up
tent.
tent.
Do you think that they are all safe at the end of this movie? They have to clean up this entire mess of the blob in the street.
They're gonna miss a piece.
Yeah, right?
They're gonna miss a piece for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
It probably went in
guaranteed.
that. It probably went in that poop sewer.
Yeah, dude, right? The aqueduct and the
poop sewer.
aqueduct.
Seal the poop windows. Matt, you had another question as far as you were wondering what our favorite kill was.
Oh, yeah. What is our favorite kill of this movie that we watched?
I don't know. I might go. Oh man, we completely skipped over a scene. Speaking of kills, the whole like date rape scene.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh,
That's,
yeah.
that's a little rough.
Yeah, it's this dude in like.
It's Paul's friend that was with
Yeah.
him in the beginning.
The only reason I am bringing it up is because it is a pretty good kill. But he kind of like pushes this girl to drink too much, and then he tries to put his hand down her shirt, not realizing the blob is already like taking over
Yeah,
her.
I love like the way it like wraps around his.
Dude, I like the way.
Yeah.
And it's the timing of that, and then her face like sucks in.
Oh,
like
that's
it's really
terrifying.
creepy.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of Palmer from The Thing, where it's like the face like sucked in.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
transforming.
Very
basically.
much, yeah.
But the scene cracked me up because it's like he's trying to make this move on the girl. She's obviously dead.
Yeah.
But then like the tentacles like come out of her face and it's like pulling him.
I know,
towards her.
and he's yelling her name.
He's like, no. Oh yeah, but yeah.
That's what I think is funny. I don't know her name is like
Vicky.
Barb. He's like Vicky, no, Vicky. Like that's not Vicky, bro. Give it up.
It's the blob.
The blah 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 blah.
So is that your favorite
No,
kill?
I'm Blob. Vicky Blob. That one's pretty creepy. That one's very disturbing.
Yeah.
I think the tone of them out in the field is creepy. What only ruins it is when it cuts to the grass and you see the blob go shh.
Yeah.
Like it's moving like a... that one's up there for me. I'd either put that one or maybe the Paul one. Those two.
Yeah, Paul's pretty
Yeah. I think the Paul one's going to be on mine. Just because it's so terrifying. Because it's like
It's
almost
so
like layers of
surprising.
his face is like pulling back.
And he sells it really well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my number one is Paul.
Okay. And yours is Paul too, Hunter, I'm assuming?
I would say Paul, but I'm gonna go ahead with the cook in the
Ooh,
diner
Really?
where he gets sucked into the drain.
So gross.
Yeah, it's like nasty.
See, I might even say Fran in the phone booth. When that thing implodes,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
it's shot so well. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a good looking shot. Okay, so if this was remade today, who would you see cast as the leads, or who would you want to, just as the Brian and Meg?
I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
Timothy,
Because like
Timothy Chalamet as
the Blob.
the Blob.
Yeah,
As Kevin Dillon?
Yeah, very good. Okay,
Jenna Ortega as Shawnee Smith's character.
Oh, I'll give you.
I
Jenna
put
Ortega.
Ortega. Oh, no, I didn't. I put the other girl from X.
Mia Goth.
Yes.
Oh,
I would
okay.
say her and Shia LaBeouf.
Okay.
I think that would be a good pairing. Or I would say her now and Kevin Dillon now. But Kevin Dillon plays the exact same part.
Yeah, he's trying to get. He's like, I hear you have a birthday next month.
Jet black hair, just like curls.
Extensions. You can do it.
That means no more juvie for you. That's right.
Yeah, because I'm 80 years old. I even said, and I don't know why I put it down. I don't know if I really agree with it, but I'm going to say it anyway. The main guy and girl from People Under the Stairs.
Okay.
The girl that lives there. And then, just because in that 90s like era, I don't know. Like I said, as
okay.
I say it.
Ving Rhames
Yeah, Ving Rhames and the girl.
and the girl from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep, that's it. Matt, would you have anybody as far as leads?
This I don't know. This is always a tough question. It's like who would it be in now? And it's like I like.
It was hard for me.
Yeah, this is hard.
Okay.
Because I feel like they're not like. I mean, the actors do a really good job in this movie, but they're not like iconic characters. So it's kind of hard to be like.
Sure.
You know, it's like you look at something like, oh, who would you want to be recasted as Indiana Jones? You know, it's like such an iconic character.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like to pick from like the pool of actors now. I feel like it would have to just be two up and coming young actors. Jenny Ortega is a good one because she's kind of up and coming. Like I feel like she's got a lot of clout now.
Especially in the horror genre.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
I really, really like her. I don't. Yeah, and you could say something like Samara Weaving, like about 5 years ago when she was kind of up and coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, had there been a sequel, where would you have wanted to see this movie to go? Like, I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a sequel, to be honest with you, in the first place.
Yeah.
Where would you want to see it go?
There's a sequel now. There's a sequel to the original that took
Oh, I
place in
didn't
the
know that.
Attack the
70s.
Blob or something?
Beware of the
Beware
Blob,
the
I think it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I've only watched a little bit of it. It wasn't that good.
I heard it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and it was from the 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe on an island. You know, like they're all trapped on an island.
Okay. I put New York City. And I think it could have
okay.
escalated what Ghostbusters 2 did. Mm-hmm. But then you're like, the Blob is just destroying the city.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
then you get into large scale building destruction. That could be kind of cool to see.
Yeah,
That
kind of
would
like a
be kinda
Transformers,
cool.
but with the Blob.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question then. So this is based off of a 50s B movie. There was like a resurgence of B movie remakes in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Thing we talked about, The Fly.
Yeah.
Toby Hooper did Invaders from Mars.
Okay.
Um,
You count like Invasion of the Body Snatchers already like remade in the.
you know, you can technically count that. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's only a few years shy of I think it's 78.
Oh, it's 78. Yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
but it kind of does count. I mean, it falls.
I mean, it's a
within
pretty
there.
kind of graphic.
Yeah.
Remake versus like the original.
Now, and I know like a bit of trivia that John Carpenter made Memoirs of the Invisible Man
Oh, okay.
because he got the option to direct a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon,
yeah.
which is supposed to be special effects by Rick Baker.
Oh man.
Yeah, talk about missed opportunity, right? So there was going to be a creature. So it was going to follow. It was going to be another 50s movie
Right.
that was going to be remade. Like right at the tail end of the 80s into the 90s, so right around the Blob. So what like older movie would you have loved to have seen just have this special effects treatment in the 80s? Like a remake.
I don't know a lot of that era.
I was kind of having a problem with it.
Or
too.
not just there. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, 50 movies are kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you either like them or you don't.
Sure.
But like anything that was older, like
Well, the only thing I could think of, and it wasn't special effects heavy, but I would love to see and I don't know who I would, wish to do it, but I would love to see a proper sequel or remake of Carnival of Souls. I think Carnival of Souls is such an amazing film.
That'd be cool.
But you can't just remake it. Like,
now they
there's so much
remade
to
right?
it. Yeah, like it was Wes Craven Presents.
Was it?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Actually, yeah. Okay.
I never saw it, but I'm assuming it missed the boat because no one talks about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so many elements to that movie that have to be updated as far as like, you can't just remake it. You got to have the tone. You got to have the pacing. Like there's a lot to that movie. So I think I'd really like to see a proper, remake of that.
Is it a creature feature or is it just a horror movie?
You know what? Let's just do B sci-fi creature horror movies, whatever. Just
about-
something that's something that could be special effects heavy in the 80s.
How about-
Because that's what all these movies are, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all movies that are older 50s movies that they hit the 80s and they're like, we're gonna go balls to the wall special effects on all of these movies.
Right. How about like Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Oh, that'd be cool.
I thought about that earlier.
Yeah,
that'd
like
been
a
really cool.
proper version. That's
Yeah,
like
something
actually-
that Vinegar Syndrome would release later on, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the super dirty version, or
dirty.
the adult version
adult
of
version.
Plan 9 from Outer Space from
Hours.
1985.
Make sure you watch this after hours.
I would say I'm very surprised it took forever to make a War of the Worlds remake.
Yeah, that was like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised like they didn't like immediately like make that after Star Wars, because it's like, hey, here's a sci-fi,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
here's a sci-fi horror movie that's gonna be very like special effects heavy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the one I would pick would be The Incredible Shrinking Man.
I was actually about to say that.
Were you?
Yes.
Yeah, but I was also thinking about it. I was like, when did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids come out?
87.
Yeah, so if it wasn't made before 87, it would probably just be like, oh yeah, we have a fun family version of this movie.
Yeah.
But Incredible Shrinking Man's a really cool story.
And it has a cool message like at the end, like his whole like monologue at the end.
Yeah.
Like it's a really deep philosophical.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those older is one of those older sci-fi movies that really holds up.
Yeah, I need to watch it again.
Have you ever seen it?
Watch
so
it as a
it's-
kid.
It's about a guy. He like goes on vacation.
I thought you just told me to watch it as a kid.
Watch it as
Yeah,
a kid.
watch it
You'll
as a
appreciate-
kid.
you'll
You'll like
appreciate
it so much more.
Yeah.
But it's like it's about a man who like he goes through like
I think
it's
he's
some
like,
weird.
is he like a boating?
He's
just-
on a boat and he goes through like this cloud that's sitting out there, and then ever since then he shrinks more and more
Slowly, yeah.
to the point where he's like living in a dollhouse, and then the majority, and this is all like the backstory, right?
Yeah.
But he gets trapped in his basement, and he's like the size of like an army man, or like smaller than that.
Yeah.
And now like the entire basement is like this whole new world where there's like a spider after him, and like a threading needle's like a
That's cool.
sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of cool like
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, and I think that like the 80s treatment would have been really cool on that one.
I've been crazy.
Yeah.
Don't eat me.
Exactly.
I think Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is like 91 or something.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's 90s.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about
I saw it in theaters, and yeah, so I think it's like 90.
It's the
maybe
same
even
concept.
90.
It's
but yeah,
essentially the
yeah.
same concept.
That sounds dope. So I kind of realized why they didn't make a Blob sequel, and we'll discuss that we do at the bottom of every episode. How much do you think this movie cost to make?
Oh wow. Oh wow. We usually do this at the end.
I
at the
do
end.
know this.
Do you?
I do know
Okay,
this,
then
yeah.
I'll ask content. How much do you think it cost to make?
Cost to make, I would say 10 million.
Okay. It did cost 10 million. Good guess.
Really?
It did, yeah.
Wow.
Really?
All right, and guess how much it made in the theaters?
That's not what I got. It's not the numbers I have.
I checked a few sources.
6 million.
What was the few sources you checked?
3-4 websites.
I checked. Okay, I got 19 million,
Yeah.
and 9 million went towards visual effects.
I don't know. I just when I
So I
looked up
don't
it was
know.
10 million. But guess how much it made in the theaters?
How much?
No, I asked you.
6 million.
Tell me.
Tell me.
Stop.
I don't want to play. You tell me. Matt, what do you think?
11 million.
How much is it, Honto?
611 million.
Oh my gosh, Matt, what do you think?
10 million.
It only made 8 million. So it definitely
okay.
lost some money.
That's a bummer.
unfortunately.
That's a massive
Yeah.
bummer.
This is
How?
a movie that nobody talks about.
I feel like nobody
Yeah.
talks about it.
How'd that
Yeah.
happen?
It's a shame.
Well, that's the thing. Like Fly was a hit. Well, the
Yeah.
thing wasn't a hit. So like you think it'd have that whole like thing where like
I think it's a hard genre to like market
yeah.
because obviously you have to be a certain age. This is definitely an R-rated, hard R, movie.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. Maybe that's why it's just like it's not like you can bring your family to go see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I'll tell you what, back in the day, I've heard John Carpenter talk about it with when he remade The Thing. There were a lot of like horror movie haters that like were pissed that he was remaking The Thing. They're like, "You're touching a classic. You're gonna
Yeah,
you're gonna screw it
Those
up."
people are wrong.
Yeah, so like it could be the same way with The Blob, where it's like this is a beloved classic and you're gonna ruin it, and like, and it's really weird to think about it, and it's like seeing what they ended up doing with all those movies.
It's awesome.
And it's like, yeah,
They're all awesome.
I'm not gonna lie to you, they're all better than the originals.
Yeah.
Like
They're-
I love the Steve McQueen Blob, but I think this one's like
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating to watch. Where
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit, this is a giant magic trick.
Yep.
Well,
Exactly.
speaking of like what like people think of it now or just in general, what do you think it has on Rotten Tomatoes? And then we'll go into your
Oh,
answers.
now?
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes is always tricky. 67.
Okay.
77.
63.
Oh, okay.
So, and based off that, like just in general, I'd say it's not too far off. I would give this a 70. This is a 70% for me.
Really?
But that's good.
That's-
that's good. Like I like this movie. I have seen it like 10 times. It's a 70% though. Like that's not
what
not
do you?
bad.
So what do you not like about it?
Visual effects.
Yeah. It's fine. Like it's a good movie.
Yeah, but 70's like, dude,
Barely
our
passing.
our parents
Yeah.
were really pissed when I came home from school and I was like, hey, I got a 70 on the test. You know,
did what?
Yeah, that wasn't like, oh, you passed, like good job. That was a
Okay, well I think you're right. I'll give it like a 75 then.
okay. So what do you not like about the movie?
I think the last act kind of loses for me. Once you get to the town hall,
It just kind
I-
of rush. a
I'm
little
kind
bit.
of yeah. It does. It doesn't feel like the same movie. It's like oh, we're in a town hall. There's some snow.
Yeah,
Like the
it was
Yeah.
more exciting when they weren't using the guns.
Yes.
And the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, it's like honestly, this movie. This sounds weird, but for me, the movie gets a little weak when the government comes in.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
agree with that.
It's kind of not. I don't want to say it's boring, but I'm like, let's go. Come on.
It explains it too much, and like the cool thing is like,
the mystery behind the
yeah.
what
Then
the
it's
hell
like,
is
how are
the-
we gonna deal with this?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it would have been a lot cooler to have all these characters, like the sheriff and Fran and everybody, and they don't meet up until like the very
Yeah.
like last 20 minutes, and then maybe they don't even know each other, or maybe
That'd
whatever.
be like the PG-13 version of this, where like they're all in peril, but they
Yeah.
don't die. And
Yeah.
then they get together at the end. And
That's
then
kinda cool.
They
Yeah.
kind, of,
Okay.
they kind of have their Monster Squad moment of like
I
town
like that.
square face off, basically.
We're the Blobster Squad.
the Blobster Squad. Boom.
So 75% for me, Matt. What would you give it?
80. We give an 80%.
Okay, you
Yeah.
gave me all that slack, and you just went 5%
Yeah, because you
higher.
went 70% at first. That's like
71%.
a failing. Like a 70%'s like for how many times you've watched this movie,
Yeah.
that seems really low.
Okay.
But I feel like 80%, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I really like this movie. I think the special effects are great in it. Every time I'm watching it, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'll continue to watch it again. You didn't buy the Blu-ray.
No, I have that.
Okay.
Dude, that DVD I have is so spotty looking.
You know what
It's
though?
rough. Yeah.
Honestly, like the Blu-ray is not that great.
Really?
It's packed to the brim with interviews, and I fucking hate when it's just interviews. Like I wish
like
it
no
would
behind
like
the scenes like stuff. Or...
no, there's no behind the scenes stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's just these interviews and these one-shot interviews.
Oh, like the one talking
Yeah.
head.
And it's a talking head for like 30 minutes about like questions that don't relate to the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, like can't you? And they've got like 10 interviews on there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, but it's like,
They're all
man,
gonna be like that.
couldn't you cohesively make a really cool documentary out of this? Like they did it with Teen Wolf. Like we watched Teen Wolf.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. It's like a 2-hour documentary.
Yeah, and it's all it is basically strung a bunch of interviews together,
Yeah.
right? And I wish they would do that. And then, like, dude, I watch these interviews and I'm just staring for like 25 minutes at one shot.
Well, it's like
And it's so boring.
Yeah.
like Girlfriend from Hell. I felt like was a good special feature because they show like the actors like behind like in the like office like they're going over the lines. And
Oh
stuff,
yeah. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about that.
which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
that'd be cool to see like the act like. I don't really like the demo reel, or like not the demo reels, but like the
Auditions. Yeah.
I don't really like the auditions, but it'd be cool to see like Kevin Dillon and like Shawnee Smith like
Sure.
shooting the shit
Yeah.
in the office, like going over lines.
Even if
No,
it's
there
like a
is-
minute, yeah, that's more than enough. Where it's like, oh, cool, that was cool to see.
The commentaries on there are pretty dope, and I need to check them out
Yeah.
because Shawnee Smith does one.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't like the talking head interviews, but Lance Henriksen's interview for The Visitor is pretty great.
Oh yeah, that one's great. I know. I don't mind talking head interviews. It's these ones that this particular company puts out where like it's weird. Like they'll put out ones where like there's
Very-
documentaries attached and they've
Yeah.
edited them into a documentary and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then they'll do these ones where they just dump like 30-minute interviews of one shot, no music, no like real editing going on at all. And it's this person just telling you all these like stories about like stuff that's not relating to the movie, and you're
Right.
like, come on.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so it's just frustrating. It's like I tried to watch it for the podcast because I was like, all right, I'm gonna finally like burn through these special features. I fell asleep.
Buy 2 copies of it. One copy you watch the special features, the interviews, and the
Yeah.
other copy you watch the actual movie, and then that'll probably solve your problem.
Oh, there we go. That makes sense.
Oh man. So 80% from Matt. Hanto, what do you got?
I'll go 85.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really like this movie.
Oh, cool, okay.
This is a legit remake, and a legit horror movie.
Yeah.
And the special effects are pretty A grade, except for like the the green screen stuff. But
I'll give it an 85. I take it back.
no, you.
I want to change mine.
No, you're locked in. Sorry.
Okay, I'm dropping down to 70 then.
What?
You talked me out of it. You're right. The special effects are horrible.
No, this is. I can revisit this whenever.
Yeah.
I've watched this like 3 or 4 times. I'll probably watch it again.
It's fun. It is a fun watch. And if I had to rank it, it is like the lower tier of the 50s remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you guys are going to disagree. I'm not saying this should be different, but like, you guys probably would say Thing, Fly, Blob,
Yeah, probably.
right? Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing is-
I would say Fly over Thing.
The thing is, is like a masterpiece for me.
Yeah. I feel like that about The Fly. I love The Thing, but Fly is like a perfect movie for
Yeah,
me.
dude, Fly is like almost. It's like right there, and it's like That's really hard because I think the same thing about The Fly. It's like what a masterpiece of a movie.
It is.
I haven't really seen it that many times, so I can't really like.
Well, you
Dude, it's
watch
like 84 minutes long. It is like it's like in and out. Like the
Yeah.
first scene is like Jeff Goldblum like talking to Gina Davis, being like, "Hey,
Right.
come back to my place. I want to show you something." You're like, "Oh man, we're not wasting any time."
Yeah,
Like,
you watch the original, and it's like, man, this is leagues better than the original.
I never
It's
saw
like,
it OG. But
It's like, but it's like, holy shit! Like they made this excellent movie out of this like very okay movie.
Yeah, just like a generic like creature feature, basically.
It's not even a creature. Yeah, it's a creature feature, but it's just
Does
like
he just
I
have,
think
like,
it's
a
kind of.
s-
I think
doesn't
it's kind of dull.
Doesn't he just have like a sack over his head?
Sometimes,
Oh,
yeah, and it's like
is that the tagline for the movie? He has a sack on his head. Sometimes.
sometimes I'm scary.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Actually, I think I'm gonna go back and rewatch some of these OG ones.
I say
for
if you
comparison.
if you give your Blob review a different rating,
No, it's about the old ones, like the
Okay.
original ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll say that the original Blob is the
best.
best one out of the original
Okay,
movies that we
cool.
talked about.
Okay.
I
remember-
do like the original thing a
Yeah.
lot, but I really like the original Blob.
cool.
So you got a 75 from me and an 85 from the other two guys. We're going to continue our October Scarefest with Matt's pick. Matt, what do you have lined up? What do you... Sorry. You guys both-
Slimed up.
Slimed up. like Nickelodeon.
Matt, what do you have lined up for October Scarefest as your pick next?
I am picking a movie we've talked about since the first year doing this podcast.
I already forgot
Okay.
what we're talking about.
And we've talked about doing it for every single Halloween. At one point, we were going to do a Monster Mash Halloween, where there's going to be monster movies like
Oh, yeah.
Monster Squad.
yeah,
I think we covered Monster Squad.
we didn't.
Okay, we never covered Monster Squad. But I really, really want to cover Waxwork. 1988, same year
Oh, wow.
as The Blob. Another creature feature, but man, I loved this movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, this is definitely... So we're trying to go on a little bit more of the range of cult films, and I think Waxwork is a very good cult film. That definitely has a cult status where, like, it's not a well-known movie, but I feel like everybody who has seen it has been like, oh, it's such a great movie.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome movie.
And the sequel is a very good legal drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a hand that squirts mustard on people. That actually happens in the sequel. Yes, I am looking forward to watching this. I want to watch this on Blu-ray, though. Is it a good transfer?
Dude, the Blu-ray is awesome for this.
Okay,
It's
good.
Vestron Video
Oh,
put it out.
Vestron,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Cool.
they are able to get interviews with everybody from the cast,
That's
including
cool.
the director, and they cohesively make documentaries out of it.
Okay.
And it's really awesome information.
Nice.
Like,
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I like. I'm gonna go back and rewatch them for this episode because, like, yeah, I remember
I hope
really
so.
liking it. Yeah.
Well, cool. 1988's Waxwork will be our next episode to continue our October Scarefest. Thank you so much for listening. We love doing this. We love listening to it. I'm Chris,
I'm Matt.
I'm Honto.
and we'll see you next time.